All right, got the 406 project fired up tonight, and honestly, everything has been going pretty smooth. I fought with this AC bracket and getting kind of all the AC stuff to work with this cylinder head and these headers, but what I ended up doing is this bracket used to be straight right here, and it would hit this header, and you couldn't put a bolt in. So I went ahead and rebent the bracket. I heated it up with a torch, carefully bent it there, carefully bent it there, and then I added a section material to add that ear because once you put those bends in, it was too short to hit that bolt. Then I had to notch it a little bit more to clear this header tube. That took some time, but all went pretty smooth. Got a new power steering pump on it right there. For whatever reason, that guy did not want to line up the best, but I was able to get that done. Carburetor's all on. Everything's ready to go. Fired it up, and it started instantly. The first crank of the key fired up. Kind of sputtered out of the carburetor. Didn't have nearly enough ignition timing in it. It literally started with like 1 degree of timing. So bumped that up to like 20, 18, 20 just to get it running. And just right off the bat, ding, 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 ding. And I knew instantly what it was. Just sucks. But what it is one of the rods is hitting the crank scraper in that oil pan. Shut it off real quick. Like I said, I was literally running for maybe 15, 20 seconds. Got underneath it, had Jamie restart it. Sure enough, definitely one of the front rods hitting the oil pan. I believe it's hitting the crank scraper. So the next step is going to be to pull it all apart and try to get that oil pan off, which is going to suck. That's life, I guess. Sometimes you run into these issues. I'm not impressed with this oil pan, and I'm not trying to bash Summit or their oil pans, but I have two major problems with this oil pan. One, this thing is factory stroke, so it shouldn't be hitting anywhere in the oil pan. And the rods that it has are the Howard's I-beams that have literally the same amount of clearance around the rods as a factory rod. They're a really lightweight I-beam. So it's not like I have a big heavy H-beam in there that has a bunch of material on the backside to hit. If this oil pan hits in this application, it was going to hit in any application. So that sucks. Now, I should have caught this during assembly, and I did. I noticed when I put it on during assembly, I rolled it over and I heard it hit. Took it back off, seen where it hit one spot of the crank scraper, figured no big deal. Bent it down a little bit, put it back on, it cleared. Took it back off, put clay on it just to see how much clearance I had, and noticed it was actually hitting part of the mesh as well. So bent that, put it back on, and then it sat for about the last year and a half with the oil pan on. I'm thinking what might have happened, because I didn't notice it turning the engine over to set the distributor and everything else I just did this last couple of days. There was no noticeable noise. What could have happened, though, is when it sat on the stand for the last year and a half, 2 years, the oil pan, I have the rubber gasket. That gasket probably went ahead and compressed a little bit, which then made all of our clearances a little tighter. Obviously, if a gasket compressing is enough to make it hit, it was too close, but I'm 100% sure it was not making any noise on the stand turning it over, but as soon as you fire it up, it absolutely is hitting. So that sucks. Again, I don't think every one of their pans would do this. I think this pan in particular, built on a Friday, something like that. But one thing that all of these pans will do is not fit correctly for a 70 to 81 F body. And they do have it listed as this is the correct pan. And I'm going to tell you it's not. And here's why. You do not have enough clearance between this inner tie rod and the edge of this oil pan. They tell you it'll fit, but if you look, you can see where it hits the oil pan. Now that is right about max travel. I am a 1/4 inch from hitting the travel limiter when it hits the oil pan. So really and truly, it would probably be all right, but it is hitting the oil pan before I'm at my travel limit left or right. Now, I went ahead and recentered my steering just to make sure everything on my end was good, and it is in fact a pan fitment issue. And it is, because I 100% recentered the center link and it still does the same thing. It has about maybe a 1/16 of an inch of clearance on this side as it just starts to hit the travel limiter, and then on this side it hits the oil pan when it still has about 1/4 of an inch to go and travel. So when you think about that, the max travel back and forth, it's always going to hit that pan. Now, it's not hitting it much, but that is an issue. Like, basically the front of this pan is just too big, and we ran into the same thing with the 70 to 81 second gen Camaros with a big block and the Summit oil pan. Exact same problem. Well, then they ended up having a F-body specific oil pan about a year later, so we went ahead and bought that for the big block, switched that oil pan, and that oil pan actually fits great. But here's this same scenario where they have it listed that it'll fit this application, and it fits, but it's not right. You do not have the clearance you need. So I've got to make some decisions. It sucks. This pan's a year and a half, 2 years old, but it's literally got 20 seconds of runtime on it. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but what I am going to do is start draining the oil and all the fluids and try to see how I can get this pan off and figure out what I'm going to do. So I just wanted to give you guys that update. Did get it fired up. Jamie said the oil pressure was like 60 when it was idling. When we first fired it up, that's literally the only thing I know. Couldn't really tell you what it sounds like. Couldn't really tell you much more. It was just a real quick kind of frantic check over. But yeah, that's it for tonight. That's the update. It sucks, but I'll get it fixed one way or the other. I've just got to come up with a game plan, and I just wanted to show you guys the Summit pan fitment. It sucks. That's all I can say. I don't think all of them would hit the pan clearance issue. I think this one was just not manufactured well, but the fitment on the front to the steering, they all are going to do that. Now, I do need to get you guys the part number. I can't remember off the top of my head. I pulled out the receipt yesterday. Actually, it was 2 days ago. I just can't remember what it was, but I do have it. I do have the receipt, so I'll put that information in the comments. That way, if you guys are looking at this pan for a second generation Camaro, do not buy it. But that'll be it for tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe.